Welcome back to our humble little skyblock base. So far in this series, we've built a base that looks like a giant tree, and a gold farm that looks like a giant snowflake. We've caught, cured, and traded with zombie villagers, leading up to trading for enchanted diamond tools. And today, there are several more tasks that I want to get done. Mainly, I want to convert this empty leaf room in the base into a hostile mob farm. I destroyed the old one to make room for the new base, and my mob drop supplies are going to run out eventually. But that's going to take a lot more cobblestone than I currently have. I could keep using this cobble gen, but it has some issues. It requires me to move my mouse while mining, which means I can't really AFK at it. I think it's time we got an upgrade. I'm gonna put the new generator inside the grass block right above my new storage room. I use some brick and smooth stone in hopes of avoiding a fire starting. Eventually, I'll want to take this one out and replace it with an automatic one. I'll use 4 of my very precious sand blocks to craft a single TNT, and use that to make a TNT duper to harvest cobblestone for me. This new cobble gen is exactly what I needed. The blocks are in a straight line so I can AFK, and there are hoppers underneath to pick up all the cobble, which means none of it is getting burned. And as a bonus, this design leads to much prettier replay mod footage. I'm gonna keep mining cobblestone until I've got about a double chest worth stocked up. Then I'll start working on the mob farm. Alright, it's time to start building the new mob farm. I want to kill the mobs through fall damage, and the trunk of this tree makes for the perfect drop chute. I'll use cobblestone to make a floor that flushes water towards the center. Since the walls are made out of leaves, I'll need to completely encase the room in cobblestone to keep the lights out. Originally, I was going to do this with moss blocks so it would look normal from the outside, but I was happily surprised to find out that it barely changes the appearance regardless of what block you use. Partway through this process, I had to restock on cobblestone, but it was hardly a chore. I was able to get efficiency pickaxes from the toolsmith and combine them to make even better ones. Then I could just tape down my mouse button, walk away for a while, and come back to loads of cobblestone. After putting a roof on it, the room was completely dark, and I could start working on the spawning platforms. I used oak planks for the platforms themselves, with spruce trapdoors around the edges. Using wood wasn't necessary, I just thought it would be easier to see on the time-lapse. I made the platforms small, with about 2 blocks of air on either side. I did this to hopefully minimize the amount of time each mob spends up on the platform. The trapdoors bordering each platform should encourage the mobs to walk off. Monsters see trapdoors as being closed even when they're open, so they'll think they can safely walk across the platforms and eventually end up in my hoppers. This room has a lot more space than the last mob farm did. I was able to fit more spawning spaces in the room despite having less efficient platform placement. In theory, this farm should be much faster than the last one. In the center of the farm, I put a block of sand with a cactus on top, just like I did for the old farm. Spiders rarely take fall damage since they're able to climb up walls, and when they end up clogging the drop chute, they stop other mobs from getting through. The cactus keeps spiders from getting into the chute, and at the same time kills them so I still get their drops. With everything ready, I turned out the lights and let the farm run. I was initially excited to see the sheer speed of this thing, considering it's a non-redstone setup, but that joy was short-lived as I started to realize a collection of spiders was starting to pile up. In the last farm, there were few enough spiders for one cactus to handle alone, but this new farm is way too quick. I tried moving the cactus up a block and then down a block, but every iteration ended up the same. As I was hoping for a clever solution to eventually come to me, I started working on other projects in the meantime. Our first task brings us to the Nether, where we get to visit the lovely Snowflake Gold Farm. I'm here because I want some golden apples. I'm tired of paying full price to all my villagers. I'm frequently buying their tools and enchanted books, and the emerald cost is really high. My plan is to zombify and cure each one of them so that their trades drop to 1 emerald. In order to do that, I need golden apples. Okay, it's time to convert the villagers. I'm gonna need a zombie to spread the infection, so I made a dark spot on the old tree farm and waited for some candidates. I made many miscalculations during this process. Bringing the zombie near the iron golem was just the first. I'm gonna level with you, this section of the video is going to be a series of bad decisions, one after the other, so prepare yourself. I ended up coating the area in moss carpets to stop golems from spawning, and that actually worked out. I had trapped the villagers inside these little enclosures, and I was hoping that the zombie could attack them from there, but I had to let them out in order for him to bite. After that though, the zombie got serious and the infection was spreading to the villagers. It was right around this point that I realized that if it stops raining, all of my villagers will burn in the daylight. That's when I made the very questionable decision to flood the place with water, trying to protect the zombies while still stopping golems from spawning. While it kept them safe, it made it damn near impossible for the zombies to get to the still safe villagers. Also, by the time it did stop raining, it was nighttime, so this was completely unnecessary. I finally got them trapped in the enclosure with a roof over their heads. At this point, I took a sigh of relief, feeling unsure as to why I chose to do this in the most unnecessarily complicated way possible. But regardless of the means, the end was the same. 8 perfectly safe villagers with trades down to 1 emerald, as a sign of their gratitude. Also, here's a villager update. I've got 2 librarians, one for silk touch and one for mending. 3 toolsmiths that provide all of my diamond tools and buy iron from me. A mason for special blocks, we'll make a whole bunch of these guys later on. A cleric to buy redstone and sell zombie flesh. And I also added an armor smith to get myself some fancy diamond armor. Donning my new diamond armor, I felt emboldened to take another swing at fixing that mob farm. Spiders need a 2x2 area to spawn, so I added moss carpets to get rid of some of those areas. I ended up taking about 2/3 of the spider-eligible spawning spaces away. After letting the farm run for a little while, I'd say it was a success. I still get a ton of mobs, but there's a smaller ratio of spiders mixed in, so the cactus has no problem keeping up anymore. Okay, on to the next task. Now that I have cheap diamond tools and silk touch books, I'd like to put them to use. I want to build a stone generator inside my base so that I can skip the whole cobblestone smelting process. Stone generators work a little different than cobblestone generators. With a stone gen, you need flowing lava to touch the top of flowing water. Where the two meet, stone is created. I added a few unnecessary blocks so that it would look symmetrical, and then I called it finished. One last thing to do before I leave. Since my base is so high up in a windswept hills biome, the top of it gets really snowy. This isn't a big problem by any means, but the vision I had for this base didn't include any snow, so I'd rather it not be there. To fix this, I decided to use the string that I've been collecting from the new mob farm. The string is nearly invisible, so I placed it down to protect the snow from piling up. I didn't quite have enough string to finish the whole thing, so I just used what I had. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Skyblock. I know none of the projects that we handled today were super flashy, but I hope you liked it anyway. If you want to see more of me, I recommend checking out my Survival World Tour. In my opinion, it's the best video that I ever made. Thanks again for watching, I hope to see you next time.